How's it going, everybody? Bryan Alvarez here on Wrestling Observer Live. We are here every day, Monday through Friday, noon Pacific, 3 Eastern, Sundays, 3 Pacific, 6 Eastern. It is the Monday after WrestleMania here on this program, and we have got a lot to talk about here today. I haven't talked to you guys on Observer Live since Friday. Lots happened since then. We've had night 1 of WrestleMania. We've had night 2 of WrestleMania. We've got Raw tonight. NXT Stand and Deliver on Saturday. SmackDown on Friday, the Hall of Fame. Ring of Honor, Supercard of Honor. About 50 other shows in the area. We got a lot going on Raw tonight. I've been told a few things that we can tell you about. And also the retirement, the official retirement, laying his boots in the ring of Triple H. Injury to Boogs. AJ Styles slashed open on the way to the ring. He was not happy about that. And yes, Pat Buck quit. One of the WWE agents had just had enough after WrestleMania, and he's out of there. So we'll tell you about that here today. And really anything else that you want to talk about. So I often plug the subscriber area. I'm not going to do a big plug here, but it's WrestlingObserver.com for audio and newsletters. And, of course, we've got video.f4wonline.com as well. And of all weekends, like, you know, if you really want to know everything that happened WrestleMania weekend, you're better off being a subscriber because I can't get into all of it today. It's impossible. I'll tell you as much as I possibly can in the next hour, but you are missing out because we did very, very in-depth coverage all weekend and certainly more to come. So if you're not a subscriber to WrestlingObserver.com or video.f4wonline.com, if you do like this show and you're not a subscriber, I mean, it's $12.99 a month. And with inflation the way it is, you probably pay more for, you know, coffee. So I would recommend checking it out and getting caught up with everything going on in the world of wrestling. If you have questions, comments, etc., 425-780-7566. That is 425-780-7566. Bryan at WrestlingObserver.com, at Bryan Alvarez on Twitter. Back in a moment, Observer Live. Hey, everybody.
You all right?
Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here. Let's get going today. We got a lot to get into.
Been a long weekend.
All right, how to begin? Let's get going.
With the beginning.
Yeah, so WrestleMania was this weekend. Did you guys know that it was a WrestleMania this weekend? It was 2 nights. And, what we're going to start with here today very quickly is how all the shows did this weekend. And, I was going over my timeline before the show started, and I was actually fixing to get really mad and start. I responded to one guy, which was one guy too many, a historian who was angry that we were given the real numbers for WrestleMania, which is one of the funnier tweets I've seen in a while.
Carl?
But I was going to get really mad at a bunch of people, but then, I really started to think about this, and I thought, like if you can't deal with the actual numbers for WrestleMania, I mean, I could get mad at you, but the fact of the matter is, if you can't deal, you've got some problems in your life. So I have sympathy. So I'm just going to ignore it and move on. WrestleMania Night 1, they distributed 65,719 tickets. That's distributed. The actual paid was between 55 and 60,000. The fake attendance, which is a 100% fake attendance, it is not the number of tickets distributed plus the people who sell popcorn and the security and this and that people do. This is a fake number, okay? I don't care what Bruce Pritchard said on his podcast. Okay, the guy who runs his company, his name is Vince McMahon. You guys all bow to him at WrestleMania after he has a bad match. He said, Vince, okay, not me, he has said flat out that the attendance is for entertainment. It is part of the entertainment portion of the show. It is fake. It is made up, okay? 4 times a year, they do an earnings call. They release actual numbers of the full attendance for the quarter. And in fact, if you do the math, they do give the real number for WrestleMania, and it's never the fake number that they put on the screen, which was particularly funny on night 2 because they put one fake number on the screen, and then the announcers had a different fake number. So we had 2 fake numbers. They couldn't even get their story straight. So anyway, first night, 65,000 tickets out, between 55 and 60 paid. Second night, 65,653 out. Between 55 and 60,000 paid, and they had 2 fake numbers for that night. But basically, they added 12,000 people to the attendance, which is in fact what they do every year, and they have done every year since the beginning of time. And they admit this, but it's my fault. So that's WrestleMania. Tonight, Raw. They have got 9,732 tickets out. The building is set up for 10,406. So there's 674 tickets available. They're probably going to sell out. So that's the Raw after WrestleMania, which we'll talk about in a moment. NXT Stand and Deliver, 4,366. Somehow they did not have 15,000 popcorn sellers and security and et cetera, to get that 4,366 in the building. I mean, compared to what they normally do on Tuesday nights in Florida, that's a great number. But if you look back at the NXT TakeOver WrestleMania weekend shows when Triple H was in charge, there is no way to spin this as an improved NXT. It is worse off in every single conceivable way, this NXT 2.0. And I do not want to hear arguments. Friday Night SmackDown did a great number, 12,011 tickets. They were completely sold out for the SmackDown show in the Hall of Fame. The 3rd best SmackDown number since returning to the road. According to WrestleTix, quote, a tremendous number, which it was. And Ring of Honor Supercard of Honor, with Tony Khan in charge, 1,978 tickets out. So Tony Khan mentioned 2,000 at the media scrum. He inflated it by 22 tickets. Apparently there were only 22 security guards, popcorn sellers, and anyway. So those are the numbers for the weekend. So the good, the bad, and everything in between. Now the shows. I told you these shows were going to be pretty good. Night 1 was better than night 2, but I was entertained by both shows. Night 1, we had the Usos beating Shinsuke Nakamura and Rick Boogs. When Rick Boogs injured his leg, they had to go to the finish early. He has suffered an injured patella and torn quad, and he is going to be out of action for a long time. Best wishes to old Boogs. They had to change the finish. They had to shave time off the match. And so they filled that time with copious video packages and then ran out of time later. It's actually like that AEW show where they had a fake standby match. And by putting the fake standby match on the show, they actually ran out of time and had to cut some other stuff later in the show. Drew McIntyre beat Happy Corbin. I thought the match was good. It wasn't a great match, but it was good. Drew McIntyre won and then chopped the ring ropes with his sword. So we got to see some special effects. Miz and Logan Paul beat Rey Mysterio and Dominic Mysterio. Way better than anybody could have expected because of Logan Paul. This dude outworked The Miz. If you showed any random person this match and said, name the one guy who's, not a wrestler, they would have picked The Miz. Logan Paul looked great. They had a fun match. They won. Miz and Logan Paul won. And then Logan Paul, who's just like, he's the greatest heel. Miz turns on him. I guess to turn him babyface. But everyone cheered The Miz. So the whole thing is just a total mess. I think Logan Paul is coming back. So I'm even more baffled that they shot this angle at the end, but they did. Bianca beat Becky. Man, I've been talking about this one for months, and all I heard was, not going to happen. I'll believe it when I see it. Well, I hope you all believe it now, because she beat her clean in the middle of the ring with the KOD. She won the title. They finished off a story that they started at WrestleMania, and I thought it was an excellent match. I thought Becky did everything in her power to get Bianca over. Bianca looked like a huge star. She had the best women's match on WrestleMania, now 2 years in a row. So congratulations to her, the new Raw Women's Champion. Seth Rollins versus Marco Stunt. Big surprise? No, of course not, everyone. It was Cody Rhodes. And they hit his music, and the place went crazy for this guy, and he was massively over, and they had a very good match, and Cody beat him. Yeah, Cody did not do a job his first night in. Beat him with the Crossroads. Came off like a massive superstar. He's going to appear on Raw tonight. He's going to talk about everything, and I would expect there to be references to AEW, although I don't think he will actually say the letters AEW, but we shall see. It was a home run segment. I know people don't want to hear that, but it was. Charlotte versus Ronda Rousey. Better than I expected. Wasn't a great match or anything like that, but, I mean, they certainly worked hard. They tried. No one half-assed it. Charlotte beat her with a boot after Ronda Rousey had gotten a pin, although the referee reversed it because he saw the foot on the ropes. And then she had a submission while the ref wasn't around, so she had a pin and a submission. And then got booted in the face and lost, so looks like they're going to be heading towards a submission match. Steve Austin beat Kevin Owens. They actually did a match. There was a guy there that had a big sign, Meltzer Fierce Facts, on a weekend where we got Vince McMahon versus Pat McAfee and Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Kevin Owens in an actual match. And man, for a guy that hasn't been around 19 years, 57 years old, he did a hell of a job. This was a retirement match to be proud of. Kevin Owens looked great as well. Worked his ass off for Stone Cold. Stunner finish in the middle of the ring. Austin took suplexes on the cement, the whole 9 yards. Holy smokes. I thought this delivered. I mean, it didn't deliver as much as the Jackass match, but it over-delivered. So I thought this was excellent. And before I go on, Mike, before the break, what'd you think of that first night?
I really enjoyed the first night. I mean, wrestling-wise, I thought it was a better night. You know, Cody and Seth, they bought Cody Rhodes, and when you buy Cody Rhodes, you buy all of Cody Rhodes, and you buy the logo, the music, the whole presentation, which I thought was great. I thought that's what they needed to do. If you're bringing in Cody Rhodes, you want to shock the system a little bit and get people talking. That was the best way to do it, and I think maybe he does mention the words AEW tonight. This might be the only time he does it, but maybe we actually get to see that tonight. Logan Paul, I don't know what direction they're going to go with Logan Paul and The Miz. At some point, they're probably going to have to figure out a way to make Miz the good guy in that exchange, because I don't think the fans are going to stop pouring onto Logan Paul. So he did a spectacular job, and just notch another person with Bad Bunny, Floyd Mayweather, and some others of people from the outside who've done a great job at WrestleMania.
Back in a moment, Observer Live. The show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. So despite the fact that night one had 2.5 hours of video packages and entrances in a 4-hour show, I thought it was a pretty great WrestleMania. Night two, not quite as great, although there was great stuff on the show. RK Bro, Street Profits, Alpha Academy, excellent opening match. RKO's all over. RK Bro got the win, retained the Raw Tag Team titles. That's one to go out of your way to see. If you want to see horrible things, there was plenty of that on the show. Bobby Lashley and Omos, holy smokes, this match was horrible. And when you can't have a good match with AJ Styles, it's time to cut bait. Take a break. Go back to that Performance Center because Omos cannot have a good match. This match with Lashley, horrible. And then Lashley beat him. So much for that win streak.
Dude, what's he going to do down there? I mean, honestly, and I don't want to break up the flow of this, but, like, to me, if he's not going to be 911, then you probably need to cut bait because he does not seem to have lateral movement. There are just things that, unless he's just going to be a guy who walks in and chokeslams in as a bodyguard and serves that kind of role, which you can do. You can bring him out every 3 months or so and have him go crush somebody. People would lose their minds. Like, to me, that's it. Other than that, can you imagine? Look, Omos and Vince, they should get together and have a match. That would be amazing.
Johnny Knoxville, Sami Zayn. I could talk for hours about this. In fact, if you're a subscriber to WrestlingObserver.com, myself
awesome.
And Filthy Tom Lawler this afternoon, it's actually going to be at 2:30 Pacific today, half hour late, 2:30 Pacific, 5:30 Eastern. I bet we could spend an hour on this match. But suffice to say, and this is what I will say about WWE.
You need a full deconstruction of that match.
This is a backhanded. It's not even a compliment. This is just this is a reality. WWE has a tendency to advertise things and either underdeliver or just deliver what you would expect. And every now and then they overdeliver. And an example of that, in fact, would be Kevin Owens and Steve Austin. They advertised that it was going to be just a talk show segment, and they delivered a legitimate, good, no-holds-barred Steve Austin versus Kevin. So they over-delivered, which is rare for WWE. I'm not sure in all the years that I have been watching WWE, and I started watching in like 1987, I don't think there's ever been a match that more over-delivered than this one here. It was Johnny Knoxville, Sami Zayn, anything goes. We all knew that it would be pie pans and trash cans, and you knew there was going to be a taser to the balls and this and that. I did not expect fireworks in the ass. I did not expect the giant hand. I did not expect Wee Man. It was like UFC 1 in there. This guy's just stiffing people right and left, and then Sami Zayn just booted him. Like, the only way this boot would have been worse is if he would have booted him with the toe of his boot, which is like, you're not supposed to ever kick someone with the toe. You always kick him with the flat part of your boot. Man, he kicked this dude. Wee Man didn't even turn his head. It was just the boot goes right into his nose. I think his nose went into his brain. Oh, my God. They were absolutely killing each other.
And, yes, they did slow motion play that, too, for everybody.
Yeah, usually what they do is, like, they show real slow motion. Then right when there's about to be impact, they speed it up so you can't really see what happened. Not this one. It was, like, slow. And then they slowed it down even more, and you saw, right? Oh, my God. And then the giant mouse trap, the giant hand that flew in. I was dying. I was dying watching this match. Loved it. Just loved it. It was total, absolute pro wrestling stupidity. It was a human cartoon. Oh, man, that was something else.
Take that spring break. Take that Joey Janela. They outdid every indie.
They did.
They
had the most preposterous match of the weekend.
Yes, that whole 2 days of WrestleMania, it was a absolute spectacle. And this, look, Logan Paul delivered. Steve Austin delivered. Johnny Knoxville delivered. A lot of the stuff that, look, I would have taken a great 1 day, 5-hour wrestling show that was classic top to bottom stuff. I would have taken that. I absolutely would have.
Dude,
but
you're going
to go ahead.
If you would have taken these two WrestleManias, these 2 nights, and you'd have put only the best stuff on one show, it would have been the greatest WrestleMania of all time by multiples.
Yeah,
But
look,
no,
if
we had two nights.
if you trimmed the fat off of both of those shows at 2-night, and you could have taken off an hour off of each show and not missed a beat, and it probably would have even flowed better. But what I was going to say is, look, they promised this year a spectacle. They made no bones about the fact, with the exception of a couple of matches headlined by Brock and by Roman, that this is a spectacle show. This is not for you, Mr. Hardcore Pro Wrestling fan. This is for the masses. And from that point of view, they delivered and then some. The Johnny Knoxville stuff, I haven't seen Jackass in years. So to see Wee Man with his little wee gut doing a body slam on Sami Zayn. And this is another thing, too, and I just want to throw this out there about Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens re-signing. Bottom line with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn is they can walk into Canada anytime WWE runs and be the biggest things in all of professional wrestling, bar none. They walk into Quebec, you know, they're like gods there. AEW doesn't have that reach in Canada. They don't. And these are two guys that like their job. They like the people they work with. They like where they're at in their lives. And there are a lot of people that are upset that we're not going to get to see Generico and Steen again in AEW doing stuff. That, you know what? That's okay. And you see why, maybe yesterday and the day before, of why these guys were so completely fine with re-signing with WWE and possibly even finishing out their careers there, depending on what direction they decide to take. But if you told me the next 3 years I would do absolutely nothing, a job to every person on that roster, but I got to be in the ring with Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania for his last match, I'm sorry, if I'm Kevin Owens, it's all worth it.
All right, we had Sasha and Naomi versus Zelina and Carmella versus Rhea and Liv Morgan versus Natty and Shayna. Sasha and Naomi won the women's tag titles. It was a match that was on the card. Edge beat AJ Styles. They did not go 18. They did not go 45. They went 25. And it was excellently... Here's the thing. It was excellently wrestled. Were people bored? Yeah, some people were bored by the middle of it. I thought it was a very, very good match. The finish sucked. Damian Priest appears. AJ is distracted. He does a springboard and gets speared out of midair and pinned. And now we got Edge and Damian Priest as a duo. And Lord, I don't need that crap on a WrestleMania. Do those stupid finishes on Raw and SmackDown. Come up with something creative for the biggest show of the year. Sheamus and Ridge Holland versus The New Day. This match got bumped from night one because they had 2.5 hours of video packages on a 4-hour show. Well, on this show, New Day comes out dressed as Big E when he won the title. Tribute to their fallen friend. They show the footage of the guy's broken neck. They go 1 minute and 40 seconds, and the New Day is beaten clean in the middle of the ring. Pat McAfee defeated Austin Theory. This match was good. Pat McAfee was great, but if you saw the Adam Cole match, you would have expected that. Austin Theory did a great job with him. Pat McAfee rolled him up for the pin. This led to the worst match in the history of WrestleMania. Bordering on it may actually be the worst match I've ever seen, and I don't want to hear one excuse about how it shouldn't count in the year-end voting. Dude, it was horrible. Vince is absolutely, completely immobile. He's out there as jacked up as he can be at 76. He puts his arm out, and Pat McAfee runs into it numerous times. Pat McAfee has to sell for this guy. And then Vince McMahon takes a football and boots it into his ribs and pins him. He pinned Pat McAfee in the middle of the ring. So then, of course, they hit Stone Cold Steve Austin's music. Thankfully, Steve Austin came out. Austin Theory takes the greatest stunner in the history of man. And then it's time for the McMahon-Austin stunner. And if you've ever seen Vince McMahon work, he's horrible. So horrible, I almost dropped an F-bomb right there. He's the worst. He's absolutely... 25 years ago, this guy couldn't do anything in the ring. But he was Vince, so of course everybody sold for him, and he punched him as hard as he could in the face and all that kind of crap. But he could never, ever, not one time ever, take the Stone Cold Stunner right. And we're talking 25 years ago when he was in his 50s and not his mid-70s. So, they do the spot. Austin boots him. It's honestly like Vince is a wax statue. He just tips over backwards, starts falling to the ropes. Steve Austin, who bumped and he did everything, but the one thing he didn't do yesterday on Saturday night was run. Now he starts running. He's sprinting like it's like a track meet. He's trying to get a hold of this guy. Then he's trying to deadlift him off the mat, which is impossible. He finally gets him in position. Vince McMahon takes a stunner by sitting down. I got so many messages from wrestlers yesterday crying. Like, Austin was not the only one crying with laughter. I mean, people were crying, and I was too. And you know what? I wouldn't have wanted it any other way. This was the only way to end this rivalry, was for Vince to take one more of the absolute worst stunners ever in the history of man. And he did, and we all went home happy. And then Roman Reigns, Lesnar. Hey, if you didn't see the show, close your eyes. Imagine Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar for 12 minutes and 15 seconds. That's exactly what happened. And then Roman speared him and pinned him. And as noted yesterday on the Bryan and Vinny show, Roman was announced, as he entered the ring, as the undisputed Universal Champion. He won and was billed as the new undisputed Universal Champion. So after all that time, they couldn't figure out what to call it, nor did they have a new belt. So yes, he unified the titles, but they're just going to split them up again, probably sooner rather than later. But damn it, we got that biggest match of all time. Back in a moment, Observer Live.
Green Hill? Hello? He's escaped. Do you know which way he was headed? Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Shoulders. He's been here.
It's Vinny's straitjacket.
We're getting close.
Well, that was the 2 nights of WrestleMania, everybody. And we also had NXT Stand and Deliver. And got a couple things I want to talk about here. So I only saw the ladder match and the main event. Didn't have time to watch the rest of the show. But this is what happened. Raquel and Dakota Kai beat Toxic Attraction on the pre-show and won the NXT Tag Team titles. So they're the new champions. Cameron Grimes did, in fact, win the North American title, as I expected, beating Carmelo Hayes, Santos. It was the only finish. I don't care what anyone says. It was the only finish. Beat Santos, Joaquin. Well, actually, Joaquin and
Well, it's the only finish they should have done,
there.
which they did.
Solo Sikoa, Grayson Waller. Anyway, a lot of stuff happened in this match. Interference, like crazy amounts of interference. And finally, Cameron Grimes climbed up and won for his deceased father, the final promise he'd made for him. They did a great job with that storyline the last few weeks, so I was very happy to see that. Tommaso Ciampa lost to Tony D'Angelo, so he's out of there. Probably showing up on Raw tonight for all I know. MSK beat Imperium and the Creed brothers to win the tag team titles. So everyone thought the Creed brothers were going to be champions. They, in fact, did not win the belts. MSK did, so that was a surprise. In the four-way, we had Cora Jade, Kaylee Ray, Io Shirai, and Mandy Rose. And Mandy Rose won. She retained the title. Because, they want to create new young stars. Thankfully, Cora got the rub just being in the match over WrestleMania weekend. She didn't need to win, God forbid. So Mandy Rose is still the champion. Gunter beat LA Knight. Heard it was all right. Dave did not think it was a very good match at all. And he's, fan of Gunther.
Well, he's rating it on the Walter scale. So.
Which is a pretty high bar.
Yeah.
And then, yes, in the main event, it is Dolph Ziggler versus Braun Breaker. And Braun Breaker ran into an exposed turn. The match was so stupid when you think about it. I mean, the work was pretty good, but Robert Roode interferes, and the referee says, "You're out of here." He ejects him. So then Robert Roode just comes back. And the referee is like he's helpless. Well, if I disqualify him, Braun Breaker can't win the title, so I really don't want to disqualify him. I'm like, this is the stupidest, absolute stupidest rule. The rules are so dumb, it makes everyone look so stupid. So he just keeps interfering. I mean, no big deal. And then Braun Breaker gets his eyes raked. He gets thrown into a buckle. And Ziggler super kicks him and pins him. Braun Breaker was defeated. And I know that we got some fella on. In fact, someone's saying it right here. Braun is screwed, this person says. Bryan is screwed. Is that right?
I don't know about that.
I'll put it to you like this, everybody. I'll put it to you like this. If you've got your $1,000 queued up for Whale Scout, transfer those funds over to your bank account tonight.
Mm-hmm.
And talk to me in the morning. So that was the NXT. That was the NXT 2.0 show there. We also had the Ring of Honor Supercard of Honor. I did not see the entire show, but FTR and the Briscoes.
Holy smokes.
Dude, there ain't no match this weekend better than that match. That match was the most unbelievable tag team match. And, these guys, all of them, they put a lot of pressure on themselves. And the goal was to, have a blow-away match. And they were, that was a lot of pressure they put on themselves. And they went in there and they delivered. And, the highest praise that I can give it is, this was a classic 1980s style pro wrestling match with 2022 work and high spots. I mean, it was so awesome. And I don't want to hear, dude, go watch the match and get back to me. This was not, he only thought it was great because there were a lot of flips or this. Bro, no, it was an old school, fantastic, double juice tag team match between two teams that weren't there to look cool. They weren't there to show off. They were there to get a fight and to see who the better team was. And it was awesome. And FTR won the Ring of Honor tag team titles. The Young Bucks showed up afterwards and attacked the Briscoes. So I don't know what they're going to do with the Briscoes. I don't know if they're going to end up in AEW. But it appears the Briscoes are with Ring of Honor. I believe the Briscoes are also going to be with Impact. AEW is working, obviously, with the company that Tony Khan owns, Ring of Honor, and they're working with Impact Wrestling. So you're going to see the Briscoes versus the Young Bucks, which is a match all four of them want, and they're going to tear the house down. And on Wednesday, you're going to see FTR versus the Young Bucks with the Ring of Honor and the AAA titles on the line on Dynamite. I do expect FTR to win that match, but that's going to tear the house down. And they also shot the angle, for those of you who've been watching Dynamite, it wasn't as slow as I thought. Jay Lethal turned heel on the Ring of Honor show. He's a full heel. He is aligned with his best friend Sanjay Dutt as an evil duo. Samoa Joe then debuted at the end of the Ring of Honor show, so he's going to be a Ring of Honor regular. Man, this show, I didn't see the whole show, but what I saw, I mean, this was some awesome stuff. So that was the Ring of Honor Supercard of Honor show.
Did you see that picture of Tony presenting Samoa Joe as Samoa Joe was walking out on stage?
He was so excited, dude.
You've never seen a happier man in the world. And look, right over here, not the Doctor of Style Slick, which I also have on my chest right here, but right underneath that, Sergeant Slaughter and Don Cornoodle against Ricky Steamboat and Jay Youngblood. And I began watching wrestling at a very young age. And in the magazines, that was the thing that and Ric Flair were the things that really made me a pro wrestling fan. I loved Steamboat and Youngblood. And their feud with Slaughter and Cornoodle is amazing, and it's available in its entirety. You can watch pretty much the whole thing leading up to it, including the match that they have in Greensboro. And it's some of the best work of all time, and was proof that you can main event any territory with tag team wrestling, because it's about the story, it's about the emotion, it's about the work, the psychology, the whole 9 yards. And the Briscoes and FTR both cosmically go back to that time. They are products of the teams that they watched in the 80s. Arn and Tully, the Bulldogs, the Midnight Express, the Fantastics, the Sheepherders, the Rock and Roll Express, the Midnight Express. You can go on and on and on. There were so many great ones. And I hope some promotion out there, there's so many indies out there, there's so many places out there that look at tag team wrestling and look at a story like this and is something that they could build around. Always drives me nuts with AEW. So many great tag teams. Seems to be messy a lot of the times. They have focus on maybe one thing, but then everything else gets messy. New Japan, same way. Terrible utilization of the talent. As great as Zack Sabre Jr. and Taichi were as a team, can you imagine if you built up a couple more? It's one of the reasons right now I'm actually bullish on Edge and Damian Priest together. I kind of like it. Instead of Damian Priest just floating out there in the ether, I like this idea. Don't like how they got there, as Brian said. The finish of that match was absolutely garbage for a WrestleMania and just completely ridiculous. You want to have a hand for the Jackass match come out of nowhere to pop the crowd? Okay. Explain how Damian Priest just shows up there and nobody knows how he got there, especially AJ Styles, who was climbing up to the top rope right next to him. But I digress on that. Bottom line is, tag team wrestling is fantastic. FTR and the Briscoes have been, in my opinion, two of the best in the world for a long time. And I don't know how you can work the Briscoes into AEW and Ring of Honor. Maybe it's through Impact, but I'd like to see them match up with a lot of these teams out there that they haven't been able to mess with for a long time because they've been solely in Ring of Honor.
You know, I saw that picture of Tony, and I saw the comments from the various nerds. Oh, look at Tony, what a geek. Well, God forbid we have someone running a wrestling company that loves and respects wrestling and loves everything about it.
No shit.
I'd much rather have a guy running the company that hated wrestling and had disdain for the fans and who mistreated his wrestlers. That's what I'm looking for in a company, not a guy who loves this business.
And like I put on Twitter, it's like, even if you don't like Tony Khan or AEW, why don't you find something to be that happy about this weekend with all this wrestling going on? Find a way to be that happy. Naturally, maybe with a little bit of help, who cares? Be happy. And the thing with WWE, and I saw it last night with the Stunner, of like people like all of that stuff and Cody debut. It's, you can like WWE without immediately dumping on AEW and vice versa. And with so much stuff over the weekend, you know, again, if you can't be happy, go seek some professional help, because that's on you.
Well, let's talk more. So AJ got cut open on the stage
He did?
He was walking out, and his face got sliced up, and boy, he was angry. As noted, Boogs was injured. He tried. And it's funny because they actually did a spot in the ladder match on NXT 2.0 where Solo Sikoa tried to do the same spot where he's got one guy up in Samoan drop, which, by the way, I hate this spot because it's so contrived. It's like you got one guy up, and then the other guy runs over and leaps on the guy's shoulders.
Yeah.
It was so dumb. And in both cases, Solo Sikoa collapsed, but he didn't get hurt. And Boogs collapsed, but he did get hurt.
But
So-
that's the thing. It takes
hold on.
too long. It
Okay.
looks like crap unless you're big. And I'm sorry, I just want to throw this out. There's a reason that football teams have stopped doing the dead carry a lot of the times. It's because of that reason. It is completely... Again, there's a lot of spots that are completely insane. That's one that, again, they are just pulling it out too often with guys that just think they're a lot stronger than they really are.
All right, so we had that, and then as noted in the beginning of the show, Pat Buck quit. He was the guy he was an agent, and if you recall, like way back when they started using Adam Pearce more, Pat Buck, I think they might have been considering him for the role because like he was all over TV for a short period of time, and then they decided they were going to use Adam Pearce instead. But Pat Buck quit, and the story I was told. You ever know? Hey, you hear stories? Do I need to talk about Rhonda? I can do that in a minute, but the story I was told was, I don't want to say the job sucks, okay, but these agents, all of them, they work Raw and SmackDown. So, like, the vast majority of the wrestlers, except for, like, the women's tag or whatever, I mean, they work Raw and then they go home. Or they work SmackDown and then they go home. But all of the agents, they have to fly in, they have to work Raw, and then they're home for, like, a second, and they have to fly back and they have to work SmackDown, and then they have to fly and they have to... So, anyway, the story I got was just, like, it was just too much. Like, never home, always there, and he just had enough and he quit. So that was Pat Buck.
It's a thankless job, man.
I must say something about Rhonda, okay?
Which, by the way, Pat Buck was the agent for, apparently, the both main events on both nights.
Some people don't understand how this whole reporting thing works and right and wrong, okay? Listen. I have friends who are friends with Rhonda, okay? And they've been talking to me about Rhonda since she came to WWE, all right? I was told that Rhonda was furious that she was not main eventing WrestleMania, okay? I didn't say she almost quit. I saw stories all over the place about I never said any of that, okay? I was told that she was furious about it, and she left the Hall of Fame on Friday night and did come back Saturday and ended up doing the match, all right? Rhonda then did a post and said she was honored to work underneath Stone Cold Steve Austin, and she said that the reason that she left the Hall of Fame was because I guess she had to put her baby to bed, or I remember it was her baby. Okay, well, you know what the story is? That's the story. The story is that her friends of hers, told me that she was furious about it. She says she wasn't furious about it. That's the story. Which one is right? Which one is wrong? Where's the truth in all of this? I don't know. But I'm telling you what happened. So that's it. If you want to say that I was wrong, no one should be calling Rhonda a liar or anything. There's no lying going on here. There's no stories being made up. There's two sides to this story. And you can decide which side you want to believe. That's it. Observer Live.
You're clear.
Show Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. So, I don't know what's going to happen on Raw tonight. I mean, I've heard things, and I hinted one of them. So, Cody will be on the show, and he's going to do an interview talking about whatever he's going to talk about. He's going to explain what's going on, I guess. And there's going to be, I'm sure, some people called up, and there's going to be some big surprises on the show tonight. But, you know, as they say, nothing's official till it's official. So we'll see what's going on.
Did a nice job teasing that, though. If people don't get a chance to see it for themselves tonight on Raw, where can they find out about everything that happened tonight on Raw?
Well, of course, you can listen to Wrestling Observer Radio with myself and Dave Meltzer at WrestlingObserver.com. I'll be doing a post-show coming up tonight, and obviously we'll be here on the show tomorrow talking all about it and collecting my money.
But wait a second, Brian.
Yes.
Wait a second. What if I want to know what happened on Raw, but in a more comedic way, and I want you to tell it to me personally? How could I
Are
do
you
such a
trying to
thing?
plug my Cameo? Well, I'm not going to sit there and do a Raw report on Cameo. You kidding me? I'm going to do it on this show where I can make the big bucks. But I did do a bunch of cameos this weekend. I had some fun.
Did you?
Yeah, there's always... sometimes I get, like, just, you know, some nothing happening, you know, whatever. But 99% of the time, I get all this information, and boy, it's just winding me up. And I can go for a while. But anyway, check it out. Cameo, F4W Online, WrestlingObserver.com, Wrestling Observer Live, Figure 4 Daily, Filthy 4 Daily with Tom Lawler, 2:30 Pacific, 5:30 Eastern today. Bryan and Vinny Show, Death of WCW, 100 Things WWE fans should know and do before they die.
You got me.
USA Today. Should I go on with that one? Sports Illustrated writer. Anyway, we're out of time. Thanks, Mike, as always. Callers and listeners. Talk to you next time. Wrestling Observer Live.